Let's go.
Hello, test, hello, test, and welcome back to the NPL Victoria.
Test. Altona v Port Melbourne.
Yeah.
Let's go!
Hello, welcome back to the NPL Victoria. It's Altona Magic taking on Port Melbourne Sharks. Third last verse, fourth last rather. A win today for Altona Magic. You would assume they would remain safe in the league. Of course, Port Melbourne need a win to stay in the competition. I'm joined by Peter Paleologos today. Peter, what are your thoughts on today's game?
Good to see you, Ross. Good afternoon, all our viewers across Australia. Great to be back on NPL Victoria. Fascinating match today. Altona Magic just above the relegation zone. One result today, maybe even a draw, will be enough. Port Melbourne, all on the line. They must win today, and they must win against Heidelberg, which is going to be very tough next week. But one game at a time. And I think Port know what's on the line today, so I expect a really interesting performance by them. Altona, a draw, maybe enough to survive. Melbourne victory actually won yesterday, so that's an interesting FFX this game, but we're still seeing a lot from the bottom in terms of the relegation, so should be very interesting, Ross.
Of course, the pressure is on the Sharks, and we'll go over their lineup. Number 23 in between the sticks is Luka Romic. Number 3, Owen McCloskey. Number 4, Riyad Muyay. Number 5, Oliver Yankolovsky. Number 6, Anthony Laban. Number 9, Aiden Brown. Number 12, Mitchell Trajewski. Number 16, Johnny Vakurtzis. Number 17, George Mills. Number 20, William Gillingham. And number 22, Daniel Serra. And for the Magic, who have the kickoff, in between the sticks for them is Christian Rossi, number 88. Number 2, Hiyori Karaguchi. Number 4, Taufik Olamawewe. Number 6, John Stojewski. Number 8, William Thomason. Number 11, Bilal Habib. Number 14, Anthony Frangi. Number 15, Alexander Gust. Number 16, Mohamed El Hawawi. Number 17, Daniel Fabrizio. Number 85, Salu Kamara. You can see already Altona Magic's underway very quickly. Of course, they do know that a result will potentially keep them safe in the league, so we'll yet to see how that would play out today. And here is El Hawawi. Is Kawaguchi with a nice cross into the box, and that's diving ball to the box for Anthony Frangi, who sends it over the bar.
Top scorer there, Frangi for Altona Magic this year. Good opportunity, and I see that Port Melbourne's made a bit of a change compared to their last match against Dandenong City. McCloskey starting on as one of the two strikers or two attacking players, so that's quite interesting. But Port Melbourne starting with two wing backs, 3 and 2 formation. So playing a little bit more defensively, maybe want to take the heat out of the game before they move into their transition style. But McCloskey starting up front, which is quite interesting, Ross.
It is very interesting as well. We do see as well George Mills sitting in that preferred position behind the strikers in that camera, of course, coming over from South Melbourne this season. Did get deployed mainly as a 6 there. But he is here at Port Melbourne, back where he began his NPL Victoria career, rather. And that's out. And it will be Daniel Serra, who returns to the squad for today. Taking down the line is McCloskey. Knocked on. And is Gillingham Heads it on to Romic. And Gillingham. Referee waves the ball off, and it will be back down the line and out for another throw. No free kick. The referee's decision. And here's Thomason to take the throw. Sarah. Thomason again, and out. This time it's Port Melbourne's throw. Sarah. Sarah knocks it on. Still time, and there's Aiden Brown. Goes the other way. And that's Kamara, who finds Habib. Cuts inside. Habib from distance. Romic saves. Another chance here for Habib. And Romic does retain very nicely.
Habib starting quite lively. Had that little bit of foul he claimed a bit earlier, but the referee played that on. But now showing his intention, moving around left, right. So a really good start for Habib and looking for a big game. And I know you talked about it a bit earlier, Ross. I think he's been invited to one of the national teams, but we'll talk about it a bit later. So, yeah, Altona getting strong into the game and Habib looking dangerous early.
Of course, he has. Bilal Habib did come over from West Vale this season. Of course, a familiar face in the NPL system. Did spend some time at Werribee and at Pascoe Vale and at the Burgers as well. He does have 3 goals to his name this season, does Bilal Habib. They'll all him away. Brings it out of the back, but it's intercepted by Daniel Serra. Then over to Mouillet. He's got George Mills in front of him, but he goes backwards. To Serra, who slips, but it goes back to Gillingham. And then Serra. Playing around the back. Back to Romic. Jankolovsky. And Mouillet. Serra. Doesn't get the better of him, but Thomason. El Hawley. Back to Thomason. It's cleaned up nicely again by Chajewski. And that was Kloskley, who will be chasing Olomowale. Doesn't quite beat him to it, and has go out for an Altona Magic throw. And Paul Melbourne's defensive half.
Yeah, Altona this year haven't scored many goals. Last year they were more attacking, although they do have a lot of attacking players. But if you look at some of the stats, especially on the Y-Scout platform, they're actually one of the big run, pass, attacking style teams getting into that final third. And maybe they haven't converted a lot this year, and that's why they're probably in 4th last position. But, you know, we expect a lot more goals from them, especially the way they do play and the way that Goran Lozanovsky sets them up.
So, of course, goes backwards all the way to Luka Romic in between the sticks. And there's Laban. Quick feet from Laban, goes to George Mills. And wide. Tries to drive, and Brown doesn't quite get there. Kamara goes backwards to Rossi. And Rossi will just slow the game down a little bit in between the sticks. And Long. Over the top of Gillingham. And then Hawley. Goes wide to Davino Fabrizio. Just kicks it out in frustration there. And it will be Daniel Serra once again to take. It's chasing by Millet again, deflected. And now, once again, it'll be William Thomason to take. Of course, did come through the junior systems at Melbourne Victory, William Thomason. Also played for Port Melbourne Sharks. Here he's now taking the throw. And it's knocked out once again. This time, slowly creeping forward, Altona Magic. As they try and get an early opener. sit back and relax for the remainder of the game. Of course, it will be Thomason to take. Back to Gust. Out by Thomason, and here's Muye to bring it out, but here's Kamara, who goes to Kawaguchi, and wide to Habib. Back to Kamara, and out wide to Kawaguchi. Backwards to Kamara. And he crosses the ball into the box. Headed on by Muye, but he's a chance for the Magic. And it's just wide of the post, and it's a corner. Daniel Fabrizio almost with the opener.
Fabrizio there with a snapshot. That was going in. Great little touch by Romic, who's been an understated keeper this year, I would say. Although he's, Port Melbourne have suffered a lot of goals, he's a good shot stopper and a very good shot there by Fabrizio. That was going in, but well done there, Romic, just keeping it out.
Now time for a corner with El Hawley to take. And it's a big cross into the box. Does go over the bar. Of course, Luka Romic did keep Alex Kandolian out of the squad for quite a while as well earlier in the season. Of course, Alex Kandolian did move over to Burundara Kerry Eagles in VPL 2, which he is, I guess, second compatriot to an Alex Pavlidis in between the sticks. But Luka Romic, credit to him, is also keeping out Nicholas Skosic out of the side. Maxime Gajowski has put his trust into him, and there's George Mills with a spin. He goes backwards to Muye. And Muye's got Daniel Serra wide, and he does go to him. He's under pressure here by Fabrizio. And it's knocked out once again by Thomason. It will be a corner this time, and George Mills will take it.
Yeah, Port Melbourne obviously missing their two biggest, I would say, attacking weapons, excluding George Mells, who's moved over mid-season. But no Liston Diaz, no Ferrer, the two top scorers, 8 and 3 goals. So where are the goals going to come by today?
That's exactly right. Of course, George Mills has got a couple in Port Melbourne colours, as well as the South Melbourne colours. And he does take the corner, and that's headed on. It's almost a goal for the Port Melbourne Sharks. And he's Habib now will drive forward himself, and he does have 6 in front of him to beat. He gets past 1, doesn't get past the second, but there's a chance to get past the third. There's Muye. Johnny Vakridis to Muye. Just ushers the ball out wide, and knocked on once again by Alexander Gust. Of course, has gone out for another throw.
Yeah, McCloskey there would be a little bit disappointed. His body positioning just was a bit forward. Had a chance there with the corner to get that second ball and maybe create that opportunity, attacking move, or maybe even a goal. So he'll be a little bit disappointed. He's leading the line with Aidan Brown, one of the young strikers, I would say, in NPL Victoria. Obviously, with Liston Diaz out, he's leading the line and has been working really hard. He just hasn't been able to get in those key positions within the box to take that, final conversion, that final shot, but really developing himself as a striker. And should Port Melbourne go down this year, I think a lot of clubs will be looking at Aidan Brown as someone who's for the future.
That's exactly right as well. Owen McCloskey, of course, did develop through the youth systems at Sunshine, George Cross, Geelong Rangers and Melbourne Victory as a traditional winger. Of course, he has dropped a bit deeper as well in that Port Melbourne side to left back. He's playing that more preferred role now up front. Did join the club this year as well. Is Kawaguchi. Goes to Frangi into Habib. And knocked on by Gust to find Habib. Doesn't quite get there, and it has gone out for Luka Romic in between the sticks.
Just looking at the Altona Magic formation, pretty traditional 4-3-3. I think pretty much playing, the three midfielders in the middle who've got a little bit of flexibility or versatility up and down, but playing with the two wingers and a striker. So pretty much a standard formation for them, but that works because they've got certain creative players. And I noticed that Frangie, who's their top scorer, does come a little bit deeper as well to pick up the ball. That's one thing that maybe they needed to push a little bit up. But the other interesting thing is Goose. Normally a left back, right back, plays on an academy player, I think City or Victory. But he's been a very impressive player. Now he's been given a little bit more of a midfield role, a bit more creative, and that's an interesting move for Goose, and shows his maturity and he's coming through the NPL.
Yes, of course. Again, the Goose did earn his stripes in the Victorian football ladder. Did make the jump to Altona Magic in 2014, of course. Did come through the youth setups at Melbourne Victory, as mentioned, as well as Brunswick Juve. Did sharpen his game in the VPL 2 with Brunswick Juve as well. Broke into the senior team there. And Frangie, new this season, of course, and what a signing has been for them. Saved them a couple times this season with his 5 goals to his name. It will be Kawaguchi to take the free kick, and they do have everyone up for this Magic side. And Kawaguchi headed on. Don't worry about his Kamara, who finds Habib, who's on the right. Habib with the cross. And strike from distance, Romic saved. It's Alexander Goose, we just mentioned, with the shot. Luka Romic will slow the game down a little bit. And go to Muye.
Yeah, actually, Goose has, I think, got 2 goals this year, so he's like the 3rd or 4th top scorer for Altona Magic, and it's good that he's moving into more attacking roles. But early on, Altona Magic starting to take a little bit of control of this match.
And here's McCloskey down the left with a chance to cross. He does go backwards to Sarah. And Sarah backwards to Muye. Goes all the way back to Gillingham. To restart, Laban. Now Romic. McCloskey over the top. He's got an Olomouc to beat. And he does go backwards to Daniel Serra once again. Down the line to McCloskey. Chance to cross for McCloskey. And he crosses it in. It's cleared beneath the post by Olomouc. And back out once again. And it will be an Altona Magic throw.
McCloskey will be disappointed there. George Mells was moving in a really good position, but just his disposal wasn't really his passing. And he's known as a crosser. He's one of the, now he's playing a more attacking role, but he's always known McCloskey as a crosser. He'll be disappointed because Mells was surging into a really good position just to create the opportunity. I just also noticed, Ross, that Aiden Brown's back on the thing. I think he's had a little bit of blood, but it's good to see him back on the field and dealing with that slight injury, or say little blood gash.
Of course, and it will be now Paul Melbourne to take the throw. Daniel Serra once again present, ever present on that left side. Today, Muye, the cross to Brown. Tries to slide in, but George Mells to retain. Krosky back out. This time, another throw. Is Sarah. Over the top to McCloskey. Brown. Shouts for a handball, but play on Kamara. Goes to El Hawley. Backwards. And long down the line. It will be a throw in.
One thing, Ross, I don't know if you've been in this commentary box before, but it's quite high, it's quite windy, so a little bit of cutout in terms of where we're speaking, but also we were right below the both benches, so we hear a lot of the activity, a lot of the coaches, and a lot of the interaction, so yeah, right on the vibe here.
Of course, it's interesting to see as well, Maxim Gajdovsky did come over mid-season from Melbourne Uni in State League 4, rather. They were undefeated when he did leave, and they are now kind of mid-table in that league now, so it's a testament to his work there. Here is Daniel Serra, who goes down to McCloskey. Doesn't quite get to him. But yes, Maxime, of course, we do know his history as well. It does involve some time at Zenit St. Petersburg as well over in Russia. It is his first, I guess, senior management position in a top tier of state football, rather, of course, coming over from that State 4.
Yeah, it's good to see those pathway opportunities, not just for players, but for coaches as well. Very important. And I have mentioned this before in previous games that I've covered for Port Melbourne. They have pretty much the second youngest squad in the NPL.
McCloskey with a brilliant cross. And Johnny Vakridas. And across again. Cleared front post. And here's Habib with a chance to go the other way. And he will drive. And still Habib. Driving Habib. He would like to go himself, but he does go through the middle. There's Fabrizio almost the chance there, and he's brought out of the back by Laban, and Mouillet slips on the floor over to Laban and out.
Yeah, just on that point that I was discussing earlier, Ross, he does like young players. As he said, he was at Melbourne University, and now he does give young players an opportunity. And we know that Port Melbourne got the second youngest squad in the NPL. Going back, Fabrizio will be disappointed. He's had a couple of sort of moments, and his ball control's let him down on 2 occasions. He'll be disappointed in himself because he's the kind of player that's quite creative, good ball control inside, and he'll be a bit disappointed not being able to control that ball within the last third to create those opportunities for Altona.
Yes, of course, as well. The oldest person on the pitch today is actually George Mells, which is crazy to think, he's being only 28 years of age, of all that experience as well over in Europe, playing in some Chelsea academies, Southampton academies, some time at Fortuna Sittard as well. Of course, came over here, did win the A-League double as well with Adelaide United. Just spent some time at Brisbane Roar. And then won the NPL double. The only player in the NPL Victoria system, NPL era, to win both the NPL and A-League double. So George Mells does bring a lot of experience to this team despite being just the ripe age of 28.
Yeah, definitely a leader, you know, and that's what a lot of, especially when you've got a younger squad, George Mells in the midfield dictating play. And that's something we underestimate, Ross, in terms of the experience of players. A lot of these players have played overseas or have come from overseas. And the great thing about the NPL Victoria, without, you know, and I'll make some points maybe in the second half about Avondale and their recent win over Apia, but players from everywhere, players coming from pathways, the A-League pathways, coming from also, we mentioned Bo Morris, Burundara, these type of clubs from the state leagues. So it is and from interstate as well. And overseas, we've got players here from England or also Scotland. So there's a mix here, and I think that's the NPL platform's sometimes not seen as a platform where a lot of players come and looking for a pathway, but the Victorian NPL has that platform.
Yes, of course, it's great to see as well. George Mells, the Junior Technical Director at Yarraville Glory, just previously announced a couple of weeks ago, actually, as well. Does have his own football academy set out of Yarraville Glory, of course, Mel's Football Academy. So he's just trying to teach those kids, I guess, the lessons he learned over in Europe and through the NPL system as well. Got best of both worlds, George Mells. It is Johnny Vakridas, who is captaining the side today, the 27-year-old, taking the throw in. Thrown, headed by George Mells. Laban. Fabrizio finds Kamara, but Mells knocks it on. Backwards to Rossi. He does go long. Tries to find El Hawley. This Mouillet does get better of him and elegantly brings the ball out of defense. Mouillet loves to play the ball at his feet, and he's got a lot of flair. He does. The Frenchman. It's knocked out. Kamara does brilliantly there to keep it in. And it's Fabrizio. Goes to Olomouye. And long. Here's Habib headed. Kawaguchi now. A chance to drive. And he does get pushed over the ball. And it'll be a free kick to the Magic.
Yeah, I think Goran Lansdowski will like to see more of Kawaguchi, just like in that moment, getting forward a little bit, supporting his forwards. That's very important. But you mentioned Mouillet. I think he's one of the finds of the year. He's actually one of the #1 jewelers and interceptors in the NPL. And whatever happens to Port Melbourne this year, definitely will be of interest to a lot of other clubs. But, yeah, very, very good player and reads the game well. You can tell that. But he's also not afraid to have that progressive passing style where he moves the ball forward. And a very important player for Port Melbourne.
Of course, he did join the side in January. And it is now Yankolovsky driving all the way up. It's cleared by Sosevsky. And long, headed on by Gust. Pushed off the ball by Frankie, and it's a free kick for Port Melbourne. And of course, Riyad Mouillet, before joining Port Melbourne, he did play for North Sunshine Eagles in 2023. Earlier in his career, he did have a stint with FC Conon d'Orangeau in France. And so great cross into the box, headed on and over the bar by Aidan Brown. And it could have almost been 1-0 for the Sharks.
Yeah, disappointing Brown there. I mean, he had some pressure from Kawaguchi. You've got to do a little bit better than that. Get a little bit more on the ball just to get at least under the crossbar or get the keeper to save there. So I'll be a bit disappointed. An early opportunity for Port Melbourne. And that's, they're in this game and they know that, Altona seems a bit still trying to get a little bit their system right. I can see from their coach on the sideline, he's Goran Lansdowski. He wants his player to move the ball a bit faster, a faster tempo. He's got the speed there. He's got the strikers, but they're not getting probably the service. But very disappointing there for Aidan Brown. You might not get that many opportunities, so got to make it a little bit better.
We just saw there, Luka Romic a bit of under pressure, but he did knock it out, and here's Kawaguchi to take the throw, and he does try to find Habib on his left-hand side. And the ball's knocked on. Pushed all the way back to Romic by Gust. Kawaguchi again, first time. Headed on by Laban, and here's Mells. Miskicked and Kamara. He goes to Thomason. El Hawley. Still El Hawley. He goes wide to Thomason. Here's Mouillet again. And back out by Chajewski. Here's McCloskey now. He goes into the centre with Johnny Vakurtsis. The great ball over the top to McCloskey. Headed on by Kamara. Here's McCloskey with another chance. He's got George Mells to the right of him. Here's Mells with a cross into the box. It's Kawaguchi. Dispossesses and finds Belal Habib. It's a great tackle by Laban. There's Brown. Mells to Johnny Vac. Doesn't quite get there in time. And it's a throw in.
George Mells, his high standards, will be a bit disappointed with that pass. Johnny Vac is very attacking this first 10 minutes, 15. Really getting, he's got the free license maybe to attack on the right and getting those crosses in, but also getting very attacking positions. That's really, really good to see because, I mean, obviously Port Melbourne need to win today, but and you need your wing backs to really press against Altona because they're playing with the 4, so there is opportunities to get in behind there. But yeah, like it is starting very lively.
Yes, of course, Johnny Vac did come through the Melbourne City Academy program. Here is Brown though, and he does find Vac. Does fall over. There's a chance now. Sosevsky dispossessed by Laban, and here's Laban. Goes to McCloskey, who has a chance to cross the ball in, doesn't quite get to anyone, and Christian Rossi snaps it up and goes quickly down the line. It's Emil Barker, and Riyad Mouillet does brilliantly there to make sure it doesn't get any player past him, and it will be another throw.
Yeah, Port Melbourne now a couple of opportunities. McCloskey maybe could have taken a shot, maybe just but he wanted the pass, but there was no one there. I mean, we know that Liston Diaz, who's always dangerous around the box, is missing today, vital player. But McCloskey getting at the back of Altona and causing them some problems. Bit of an injury here. We've got Altona claiming a bit of a foul, but I think the play will be okay. But early signs here for Port Melbourne. They're in this game.
There was a foul on William Thomason. Did see the referee reach into his pocket. He did not give a card out. But William Thomason is back up on his feet, albeit limping. Should be alright. It will be Kawaguchi to take. Of course, before his move to Magic, he did play for Sydney United in the NPL New South Wales. We'll, of course, elaborate on the NPL New South Wales a bit later, as Avondale did overcome RPL Leichhardt in the Australia Cup round of 32, round of 16 rather. Here is Kawaguchi though. Before that, he was at Kochi University in Japan. Here's Kawaguchi with a great cross in, deeping at the near post. Romic is on the floor, and so is Muye. And it's a head injury, so play will stop. Of course, Kawaguchi as well has actually played all of the games available to him, bar 25 minutes all season, so ever present in this side. Last week he did play off the left, and he's playing off that side today, so it's good to see.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Kawaguchi. There's quite a few, I would say, Japanese players who've come from the university or maybe in the J3 system coming to the NPL. A lot of them with the mindset that if they can show in the NPL, maybe they can get into the A-League. And we know that over the years, a couple of one or two Korean and also Japanese players have used the NPL as a stage. But Japanese players are really looking outward these days. If you look at the Belgium League, I think it's 6% of the players in the Division 1 and Division 2 combined are Japanese. So really looking for those opportunities. And then we've got a lot of their big players that have been signed this window in Europe. But here in the NPL, we're seeing a lot of Japanese starting to come to our league. And Kawaguchi, very interesting player. They have got a very good, big university league and maybe not enough positions in their J League. So there is a pathway through Australia for some of them.
Of course, another man who joined another club this window, Ren Nagamatsu, also joined South Melbourne from Eastern Lions, but prior to that he was at Metro Stars and in the university leagues over in Japan. And here is Bilal Habib, who is driving, and he's beaten one, and he actually hasn't got past the second. But Kawaguchi with the cross, it's almost a header. And he's Fabrizio with another cross. Bilal Habib with the audacious overhead. Shouts for a handball. Not quite. McCloskey to Mells. Long ball by Mells. And chasing by Brown. And Rossi just pushes it out, but it's a free kick for Christian Rossi. Almost goal of the year nominee there by Bilal Habib.
Bilal Habib, what an audacious effort, and he's trying things. I mean, he's on the right, he's coming into the middle, but he's not afraid to try things, and that's something this game allows you to, because both teams are trying to attack and get those opportunities. But yeah, it's good to see, and good to see also Muyek get back on after that injury.
Yes, and there's Muyek getting really forward there, and that's Trzewski. McCloskey chasing Olamawewe. Kamara. Long by Kamara. Find Gillingham. Backwards by Laban. And all the way back to Romic. Yankolovsky. McCloskey to Muye. Back to Gillingham. It's just passing around the back by Port Melbourne, of course. We know they're quick in transition, but it takes a while to get there. And has gone back out for a throw, and it will be Thomason. To Kamara. Down the line. El Hawley chasing. Cleared by Gillingham. Olamawewe. Taliban. He does have Johnny Vac to the right of him, and he goes to George Mells. Tries to get past two. He's pushed off the ball. It's all the way back to Luka Romic. He's under pressure, but he does go to Jankulovski. Vakritis. Brown. To Mells. And Mells lining up for a cross, and he does. And here's a chance, but Christian Rossi does retain it.
Yeah, Christian Rossi coming off his line there just to ensure that ball didn't get anywhere and collects it. But yeah, Port Melbourne, Laban really dictating a little bit of that midfield. Gillingham's an interesting player. He's come out from Cove Rangers from Scotland, and we see quite a few players come through that pathway. But he's given a little bit more flexibility in the back line for Port Melbourne this since the window. Been able to play three at the back, three tall at the back, and maybe change the system. He did score, I believe, against Standy City 2 weeks ago, so also has that ability, aerial ability and set-piece ability to be able to score going up forward for corners and other set pieces. So really, he's added something, but Port Melbourne really would like to get, if they can get a goal here, to really, try to push the pressure on Altona in terms of relegation. They are trying to create things, and we've seen a couple of opportunities already, Ross.
And we have, and here's Kamara, who's trying to get it back underway, and here's Gillingham now, we've just mentioned. Born in London, but actually born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand, surprisingly. Of course, did come from Cove Rangers, as mentioned. Was actually named in New Zealand's under-23 squad in the 2020 Olympics. Obviously, was in the preliminary squad, didn't make the plane. But, of course, he does have that talent. You don't get called up for the national team for no reason. So, he's here now, the 26-year-old. But mid-season acquisition. But here's Mells, who goes with Brown. And that's over the bar once again. It's almost another one.
What an opportunity for Brown. I thought he probably didn't expect that. It came to him really nicely. Socheski a little bit laid off him and got the opportunity, but the finish just wasn't there. That's a second chance for Brown. We knew he had the header. He was under pressure with the header. He was a little bit under pressure there. Maybe he was falling towards when he scored. He took that shot, but he'll be disappointed. He's had a couple of opportunities, and he's had a bit of space, and you've just got to make the most of those, Ross.
And you do, and we're just getting underway now again. Christian Rossi. And it's just 10 minutes left to play of this half as well. And here's a chance for the Magic. Striked and over the bar by Daniel Fabrizio. Deja vu for him.
Good run there by Fabrizio. Really got behind. Serra really made up some ground, put that little bit of pressure on and just overhit it. So, but Fabrizio's always had that in his repertoire. Dangerous plays, gets in the box, tends to get unmarked. He's got that ability, but on that occasion just couldn't put on goal.
And here's Habib, turning one, turning two, and it's a penalty for the Magic. And Bilal Habib, take a bow. That was brilliant. Draw the foul in. And get a penalty for the Magic.
Yeah, Habib, lively early. We've mentioned him a couple of times. Trying to be creative, audacious attempt earlier. And now he really took on the plays. And that's probably what you need to do. When you get to the box, he's got that ability, right, left. A little bit of that sort of approach where he just tries to dribble one-on-ones. And he got there, and that's definitely a penalty. And here's an opportunity now for Altona to take a little bit of pressure on themselves, because we have to say that Port Melbourne, in the last maybe 5-10 minutes, have been dictating terms. And here's an opportunity. But as we know with penalties, can go either way. But Habib, fantastic early and deserved that.
Yes, he did. And Bilal Habib's playing with a lot of confidence as well. We did mention called up for Somalia national team in this upcoming September international window. It won't be him to take the penalty. It will be Anthony Frangi, the club's top goal scorer, for his 6th for the year. And the whistle's blown. And Frangie through the middle and into the back of the net. And it's 1-0 to the Magic here at Paisley Park Sporting Complex.
Yeah, Frangie, a lot of power, a lot on the right side. Romich did well. Nearly got there, but just too much power. Well taken, Anthony Frangie. Good finish. And interesting, we mentioned about the one-on-one and Habib willing to take players on. Anthony Frangie is also one of the leading players in the NPL in terms of taking on one-on-one defenders. And we haven't seen much of that, but the confidence will be up now. And Port Melbourne got to be very careful because Altona might, have some free license here to really go on a more attack and cause more damage, Ross.
Yes, Anthony Frangie, it is 6th for the year. Did arrive at Altona Magic this season as well. Coming over from Hills United. Before that, he did have some spells at Mount Druitt Town, Dandenong Thunder, Melbourne Knights, and Sydney Southeast Hakoah. Over in the NPL, New South Wales. League One, rather. Well, Port Melbourne will be disappointed with that one, and they'll get underway quickly and put Thomason under pressure, and he is under pressure. And here is Sarah, who goes to McCloskey. He goes wide and tight to header it on. Slipped, and he's Laban. Still a chance. Mouillet turns inside and out, and Mouillet, Brown, doesn't quite get there. Cleared once again by O'Hawley. And it's another overhead kick this time by Fabrizio. And it's Sarah to take. Sarah goes to Mouillet. It's beautiful by Trashevsky. He's tripped, and it's a free kick now, edge of the box. And this is George Mel's territory if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, Trashevsky's smart play there. He was just 3 players approaching him, trying to attack, and he read it really well, and he took the foul. It is actually Mel's not going to take this one, Ross. I think it might be McCloskey, but I just had a look at some stats, and although Brown, I mentioned, is a young striker, getting a lot of starts now since Winston Diaz has been out. He's actually in top 4 in aerial duels in terms of the 90 minutes in the NPL. So, and a couple of times now they have been putting the ball up quite high. So, Brown really, a good ball in there could be dangerous in this set piece.
And it will be McCloskey to take the free kick. Aidan Brown is in the box. And the whistle's blown. And McCloskey, it's just a floater to the front post. Doesn't quite do anything, but he's Laban. It does strike it and goes wide of the post, Laban, and it will be another goal kick. And there's a play on the floor. Aloha May Yay on the floor, back up. Of course, before he's moved to Australia, did actually spend some time in the Burnley Academy. Aloha.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Burnley, I was in London earlier this year, and I actually saw QPR Burnley. Burnley, a good creative team, but Aloha, I think he might have been on a show called Sudan Budan, giving his view on NPLV, the lower leagues of England. So that was quite an interesting commentary, but it's good that he's back up.
It's a great ball through to Aidan Brown. And it's saved by Christian Rossi. And McCloskey's done brilliant there with the through ball. And it was almost the equaliser.
Huge opportunity for Brown. Got to do a little bit better than your team's behind. That's his 3rd opportunity. He gets in the right positions. Just got to finish that. Altona, I can see, got really angry there with his defence. Let that through ball. And what an opportunity.
And Altona Magic could go the other way. Thomason to Habib is back on the pitch. Still Habib. Goes through to Fabrizio. Thomason slips. Mouillet. Quick feed by Mouillet and brings it out of defence. Slips again. Fabrizio. To Thomason with the cross. Across the face, no one's there. Johnny Curtis. by himself out on the right. It does go to George Mells. Brown. Again, just bodied off the ball. And I don't know about you, Peter, but looking to the bench, they do have Levi Lister, Kai Lister, Christian Vranek, Nathan Dibb, and Pete Vakrinos on the bench. So, in terms of attacking firepower, I'm not too sure what we're going to expect from those. But coming into the second half, what do we do here?
Yeah, look, it's difficult for Port Melbourne. They're missing 3 of their key players. Farah is not there. Diaz, and also Dibb, who's very good at the set pieces, and that's one of their strong points earlier in the season. Just not available, so not many options. But I think a couple of times they've got behind Altona. I think it's about speed for them, speed of the ball, and we saw that with Habib on the other side with Altona Magic. He's got that punchy mobility to get behind and create those opportunities. And I think if you're going to make some changes, you need to put a little bit of speed up front for Port Melbourne, and just to put that pressure. Not that McCloskey's slow, but I think to push things through. But we'll see what happens at half time. But they're still in this. As I said before, Aidan Brown's had 3 opportunities, just can't convert.
Yes, and on the bench for Altona Magic is number 5, Dejan Bakradanovsky, number 7, Owen Shepherd, number 10, Christos Theodorakopoulos, number 19, Julian Rodriguez, number 34, Lachlan Gillard, and the goalkeeper, number 41, Troy Bignou. All on the bench for the Magic. Here's Habib. He'll try again, and it's a great through ball through, and brilliant by Romick, and the follow-up is just wide of the post, and there's a corner by Alexander Gust.
Yes, there we go. Habib, the creative solution here for Altona, created that goal with a penalty, and now again causing a lot of problems for Altona. According to a lot of problems for Port Melbourne in defence. Goose would be disappointed. I thought he nearly scored that. He's playing in an advanced position in this game, more in the midfield, and I'd be a little bit disappointed. But great opportunity for Altona.
And Kawaguchi to take the corner. Here he is, the cross in, deflected near post. It's another chance. Gone out again. And it's Kawaguchi. To Fabrizio. To Kawaguchi. There's crosses. And there's a hand for a header. Just wide of the post again, Anthony Frangi. Almost a brace. What wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, Altona now starting to ramp up a lot of the pressure. A little bit more of a high press they've set up. Pushing Port Melbourne a little bit back, and Frangi really got up there, good hang time, and just couldn't get that header on target.
And that's a chance for the Port Melbourne Sharks. Fourth official has indicated a minimum of 1 minute to be added on as well. And it's gone all the way out. Daniel Serra. And they'll slow down. Very vocal benches here at Paisley Park from both sides. And there will be a throw. Slowing the game down, Magic are. Going to be playing on. And Scout. Shouts from everywhere. And it will be Magic throw again. Pushed out by Trzeski. Thomason. And it's half time here at Paisley Park. 1-0 to the home side through Anthony Frangi by way of a penalty by Habib. And going into the second half now, what needs to be changed, Peter?
Well, as things stand now, if Altona continue with this, they've had also a couple of opportunities since the penalty. Relegation will be decided, Ross, and that's that. Port Melbourne has shown signs, as I said, 3-4 opportunities already. I think need to a little bit more in terms of getting.
Let's go.
obviously with the penalty, and one with an audacious try to back chip there. But looking forward to this second half because this will decide relegation in NPL Victoria. But I think Port Melbourne is still in this, as I said, Ross, and we'll see what happens in this second half.
Hello. And welcome back to the second half here at Paisley Park. It's just started to rain. Me and Peter have our coffees, but there is confirmation of a change for Altona Magic. Coming on is number 10, Christos Theodorokopoulos. Coming off is William Thomason. Not really a like-for-like change, so it seems like a tactically something may be different with Altona Magic's game in the second half.
Yeah. It's probably not a like-for-like change. Maybe tactically try to see if they can get the second goal and see out this relegation issue, and Port Melbourne as well. So Lozanovsky going in the front foot early with that first change.
It's Port Melbourne Sharks trying to get underway very quickly. It's locked on by Laban. Is Brown. He's back to goal. This goes to Kawaguchi. And here he is now. The substitute. And Laban. Muye to Laban. And backwards. And long over the top. And here's a chance. McCloskey has Aiden Brown in the box. Can he cross it in? He does. And Brown headed. Just shy. And Mel's knocks it on to Johnny Verts. Who goes to Yankolovsky and down, but it's gone out back out.
Good interception there by Goose. That's sort of the change where Theodorokopoulos is coming into the midfield. Goose has gone back to left, and Thomason's gone off. So, but good interception because Brown was in the position maybe for his opportunity to finally score, but Goose read that play very well, Ross, and just kept Port Melbourne out.
And we do see, of course, Christos Theodorokopoulos. Traditionally a cam, he is sitting in that role behind the striker. He's been a fixture, part of the furniture at the NPLMVIC for quite a while now. Has Theodorokopoulos. Muye headed. Laban knocked on. Is Theodorokopoulos now. Chasing. Strike from distance by Frangi. But it's just in the arms of Romic. Yes, Theodorokopoulos did start his career out at Port Melbourne. Actually, he made his senior debut at Port Melbourne Sharks as a teenager, just 17-year-old, before making the rounds across Victoria. He stops at Kingston City, South Melbourne, and at Avondale. He's now at the Magic. Of course, he did play for Moreland City last year, did get relegated. And it's gone out this time for a corner.
Yeah, Theodorokopoulos, a very creative outlet player, can add really those dimensions. We do know that they're moving Makucha, Altona Magic, and he's one of their, I think, third top in through balls in the NPL. So, someone like Theodorokopoulos is a good backup option.
And it's a corner now. George Mills to take. Melbourne Sharks. Mel's. Knocked on. And here's Habib. And there's a chance now for the Magic to counter-attack. They try to go wide to Theodorokopoulos. Doesn't quite get there. Vakurtsis. Laban. Oluwumba Yeye. To Vakurtsis. That's a great ball into the box. Headed on and striked again. And just along the floor and into the arms of Christian Rossi.
Yeah, Tracheski, good try there, but just not enough venomous, not enough power just to get a save out of Rossi. But a good early start here for both teams. Both teams attacking, and we're going to see, obviously, the conditions have changed as well. We've got a bit of rain out here in Western Melbourne. The rain just come in, so the pitch is holding up. I think it'll hold up for most of the match. Port Melbourne nearly a bit more of a high press. Here we go.
It's just not enough attacking firepower there for that attack. But Port Melbourne's under pressure here in defence, and here's Vakurtsis. Ball through the middle. Oluwumba Wewe just distributes it out. Shouts for a handball against El Hawley, but it's continuing in his Muye. Stosevsky. Laban. Stosevsky. Down the line and out for another throw.
Yeah, Drzeski, a bit disappointing there, just not getting that pass right, but the nice pass previously from Laban, who actually is in the NPL is the 4th most accurate passer. So he's got a good repertoire. I've been watching Laban for a while, and a very neat and tidy number 6. At the moment, Port Melbourne need a few attacking solutions, and don't know whether we discussed this at half time, Ross. Maybe pushing Mel's up a little bit more, who's got a great shot and can really get the most out of that. They need to mix it up a little bit more in attack, Port Melbourne.
Of course, yes. They do have Levi Lister, Kai Lister, Nathan Deeb and Christian Ronek on the bench. We'll see when he does make changes, Maxime Gadovsky. Remaining on the bench for the Magic is Bakra Donolski, Owen Shepherd, Julian Rodriguez, and Lachlan Gillard, of course. Lots of attacking firepower there still to come for the Magic. It's a free kick and a yellow card for Kamara. And if you're just tuning in as well, Dandenong City are drawing still to Melbourne Knights. 22nd minute on the clock there. Essendon Royals Women's are beating FE Academy 2-0. And Bulleen Lions have just gone 1-0 down against South Melbourne in the NPL Women's, of course. 2 games to go there as well.
Kamara a bit frustrated there, but he was actually quite lucky. That was a very messy tackle and probably not necessary. I'm not saying he's had the studs out, but that was, quite gone in hard there. Definitely a foul against Altona Magic. But Port Melbourne probably going to look for a change soon. They've got to mix it a little bit up, a little bit more attacking. Need to look for some other options because time is running out. With this result, relegation will be determined today if Altona Magic hold on to the 1-0 lead.
And this, of course, Owen McCloskey to take the free kick. And the whistle's blown. It's a long ball over the top, headed, not. It's Laban. Knocked on. It's Theodore Kopolos. Again, floated into the box, headed on once again, and here's a chance by himself. Just to turn. Gillingham, the centre back, all the way up. Does go out. And it will be there. Throw in again. Johnny Bukurtzis to take.
Yeah, I mean, Port Melbourne are missing probably the number 1 set-piece specialist, Dib. He's not in the starting lineup. Gillingham's scored a goal from pretty much a set-piece 2 weeks ago, so they're pushing forward for these set-pieces, and that might be the outlet.
It's a throw-in by Johnny Vac. Knocked on, deflected by George Mells. And once again, it's now a corner for Port Melbourne Sharks. And they started this half very well, Port Melbourne. Come into the half, 1-0 down. They needed to make some changes, and the attitude's definitely there for the second half.
Well, they know that it's all on the line now. This is relegation at stake. I can see Jekalowski going up, Brown's there, Muyet, all their tall players. Shouldn't maybe a little bit more for the second ball, maybe need someone closer to just on that box. Probably be a good strategy for them, but they're really going. They're really chasing this.
And McCloskey with the corner. Headed on near post. There's Bukurtzis along the floor. Again for Bukurtzis. Cleared. And Habib's on the floor. And that doesn't look good. That was definitely not intentional, but off the ball. It's not good for the Somali international. He's holding his ankle. He did go down earlier in the first half as well. And he was holding his leg, so we'll see.
Yeah, Vakinzis had that shot. It was a lot of Altona players blocking. They went for the second try. Clash with Habib. I don't believe there was intention there. I'll be surprised if he does get a card. Well, he might get a yellow, but I don't think that could have been a red. No, it was the intention wasn't there in JB. It was just motion of action. And Johnny Vakidis, who's the captain today for Port Melbourne, pleading his innocence, and he's a bit disappointed with that decision, but it didn't look good. And I think that at the end of the day, the referee, using his discretion, and decided with a yellow card. Hopefully Habib, who's been probably the most creative player for Altona Magic's, not injured, because he's been really exciting. I can see also Johnny Sochevsky talking to the referees and also to the bench. Johnny Sochevsky was in the team of the week, NPL team of the week. A player, diehard of Altona, been there a long time, leadership at the back, and still going strong, Ross.
Yes, he is. He did make his senior debut for the side at just 17. Rejoined the Magic all the way back in 2018 after a stint in America with Adelphi Uni. Sometime at Thunder Bay Chills as well over in America. He rejoined in 2018 as well and been ever present since for the Magic. And Rossi. Headed on by Theodokopoulos. And it's through. But Mouillet goes back to Romic. McCloskey. It's gone back the other way. Mouillet. Laban. It's chipped the ball to Laban. And there's a chance here for Daniel Serra to cross in. He's got 4 with him in the box. Mel's from distance. Deflected wide, just off the side of the boot. And offside is the call.
Just went over the line. I think it might have been a goal kick. It's interesting. Lozanovsky deciding that, you know, he wants to take this game out all the way and having the four very attacking players with Frangi, Fabrizio, Theodokopoulos, and obviously Habib, who's been probably one of the top performers here. But not wanting to lock down the game, knows that he's got the attacking options and to put pressure on Port, who will be getting desperate as time goes on. Mel's, we talked to him about his shot. We'll be disappointed a little bit there. But Port Melbourne's still in this, and you know, they're still looking for that equaliser.
Theodokopoulos now. Goes wide to Habib. Nice ball by Habib. And he finds Gust. Cost the ball in. Mouillet headed on. Yankolovsky. Out by Habib. Interestingly as well, Peter, we did mention half-time. Potentially some attacking changes. Will Gillingham has moved up front for Melbourne. And then looked like to be a back four that moved into.
Yes, I did mention to you, are we going to play Gillingham up front? And did score a goal 2 weeks ago, and there you go. They're gone for the 4-4-2 at the moment, and they have no options. They don't have. We mentioned this, Diaz, Ferrer. They don't have the. And I think Harbison, who played 2 weeks ago, is maybe injured. He's not in the squad. He was quite lively 2 weeks ago, so the options are limited.
It's a great cross by McCloskey. He does have 6'4". Will Gillingham in the box, but it hasn't quite come up to anything. And it will be Mouillet and everyone up for Port Melbourne. They want this. They know it's now or never for the side. It could be the second last game in the NPL Victoria. And it's knocked on. Fabrizio. Habib chasing. Mouillet goes backwards to Jankolovsky. Vakurtsis. Down by Vakurtsis. He finds Brown. Still Brown. Still Brown and tries to cross the ball in and out for a throw.
Good tackle there by Kamara. Brown seems to be playing a little bit more to the right, pairing up with Gillingham. They've gone for the three, as you mentioned earlier, Ross, in terms of the attack, and that's what they need to do. Need more ball speed, need more passing accuracy, need more one-on-one dribble just to really create those outlets and opportunities.
Of course, it's important to mention as well that a draw isn't enough for Melbourne Sharks. They do need a win here Of course, they do play Heidelberg next week, who will be in pursuit of the Australian Championship and the league title. And it's a great ball into the box. It's a bit of holding in the box as well, but Christian Rossi will just see the ball out. So, of course, they do play Heidelberg next week. Altona Magic do play Melbourne Knights, who are all but confirmed, I think, relegated, depending on this result. But as things stand, Melbourne Knights and Port Melbourne Sharks are relegated from the league. Melbourne Victory within arm's reach. They just beat Hume City as well, Melbourne Victory, surprisingly. And then up at the top of the league, Heidelberg did drop points yesterday against Oakley Cannons, so it's up to the South Melbourne vs Avondale game that decides pretty much who wins the league for them. And who goes into the Australian Championship, rather, as well, because Heidelberg, 1 point from the Australian Championship. And here's Verkurtzis, who goes wide to Brown. And Brown crosses. Has another chance. He does try again. Kamara. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, Brown trying to create something there from the right. And he's had a few opportunities, as he did in the first half. He had 3 major opportunities, and now, those misses maybe be crucial today. Port Melbourne are at the bottom of the NPL in terms of possession. They're not a possession team. They're also towards the bottom in through passes, and that's a couple of things, that's hard to remedy. So what do? You got to focus on transition, on a higher block, look for the opportunities, mistakes that maybe Altona might make.
Theodokopoulos driving down the line. Does try cross the ball in along the floor. Kolovsky feeds it, and here's Mouillet. It's a bit of a late challenge, but he's back up on his feet. It's a free kick. Yes, and Aiden Brown does look a bit more comfortable out there on the wing as well. He's making those runs as well. He's taking on players. We didn't quite see that in the first half from him either. So it's good to see him playing with a bit of freedom as well. He's got a bit of space to work with as well. So we'll see that maybe works out the best for him. He does have 2 strikers ahead of him now. And here is Gillingham, the natural centre-back. Laban. Gillingham to Mells. Czajewski. Verkurtzis. It's a long ball to McCloskey. And Mells to McCloskey. Back to Mells. And Rossi. And it looks like there is a sub getting ready for Port Melbourne Sharks. Number 80, Nathan Dibb. Get ready to come on. Looks like it will be Daniel Serra who will be withdrawn. It goes wide to Verkurtzis. Down the line. It's just pushed out for a goal kick.
George Mel's upset there. Wanted his player to move in and assist that. Just a wasted opportunity now for Port Melbourne. They're doing the substitution. They're actually in top 5 substitutions this year, Port Melbourne. They do like to use the bench and mix it up a little bit. But, you've got to be concise. You've got to be accurate. As I said, Port Melbourne aren't a possession team. They're more of a transition team. It's the last 20, 30 minutes of their season, all on the line here. So really, maybe need a bit of a higher press.
So of course, that's confirmation of Nathan Dibb coming on in place of number 22, Daniel Serra. And here is Czajewski driving. Fires to Gillingham, cleared by Haraguchi. Headed on by Romic to his Nathan Dibb, the substitute. We'll try to find the ball down the line. Ola Mwawe there with the ball out of defence. Kamara. Mouillet. Gust. Laban. Goes all the way backwards. Verkurtzis. Not really anyone ahead of him, but he does knock it on to Brown. Ola Mwawe. To Verkurtzis. Knocked on again. Theodokopoulos. Habib. It's a bit of a late challenge, but it's still chance Kamara. Sajewski, Kamara. Theodorakopoulos. Mel's chasing. Kamara. Habib. Kamara. Habib. Back to Gust. He's going to cross the ball in. He does go to Habib. He's got a chance to strike. Far post and wow.
Gust Habib, what a combination. And Habib just disappointed, went wide. We're right in the line there, Ross, and we could just see, just squirted away. So that would have probably been the game there. Great opportunity. And we underestimate Altona. They're actually the top five for one-on-one dribbles, attacking dribbles in the NPL. They're also top 5 in crosses. So they are a very attacking team. But mind you, they've only scored 20 goals, and it's opportunities. And there was an opportunity, could have closed out the game.
Is McCloskey. He does go to the substitute. Dib. Cross the ball in. McCloskey ends out once again. And Nathan Dib, of course, the substitute. Did have some spells at Western United's youth ranks, followed by some senior stints at Dandy City, Preston Lions, Manningham United, and Pascoe Vale. He signs from Pascoe Vale, of course. He will take the throw to Gillingham. Mells. Muye. Now back the other way, and that's a late challenge again, and it's play on. And it will be Frangi, who does have Theodorakopoulos in the box. It goes to Vakurtsis with Theodorakopoulos chasing. And Long. Is Gillingham headed on. Still a chance for Magic. It's off the ball, and it is a free kick.
Yeah. It's a yellow card for Muyet. I mean, it was a bit late there. Element way always in the way. Good in aerial duels. I think second best in the NPL with his aerial duels in terms of taking it on. But there was an opportunity there for Altona. Just Frangi will be disappointed. That final pass there, a couple was in a very strong position. Also Habib backing up, and you know that was an opportunity to close out the game.
Yes, it was. We do know Olamawewe is full of quality, of course. Did also spend some time at Welling United and Bath City in English's lower leagues. Did play for Box Hill last year. Did captain the side as well. Theodorakopoulos. Kawaguchi. Goes wide to Frangi. Cross the face, a goal. Deflected. And almost an own goal. But Luka Romic manages to keep it out of his net. No signs of any extra changes either coming. Headed on, Gillingham, Mells. Vakurtsis. And around the grounds as well, Melbourne Knights and Dandenong City are drawing 1-1. Kieran Bramwell did score the opener for Melbourne Knights. And Dandenong City just scored. We'll get confirmation of that goal scorer in a little bit. It's gone wide. Dib. Tries to cross by Dib, and here's Brown chasing Theodorakopoulos with a lot of energy. Chasing every single ball that he can.
Yeah, there are a couple of coming, helping their defence out and really putting in a couple of challenges. Port Melbourne, it's important now that they just focus and just try to get those opportunities. They have gone tall up in the forward line with Gillingham there and still Brown, so they may be looking for that set-piece opportunity.
Yes, they are as well. And here's Stashevsky now and Vakurtsis. Still Vakurtsis. Frangi. Habib will drive. Chasing. And it's a brilliant save by Jan Kolovsky. Knocks it on. It is a free kick the other way. And Port Melbourne Sharks get a free kick. And there is a substitute getting ready for Altona Magic as well. Coming on, we'll give you confirmation of that when that happens.
Yeah, Jankulowski, very underrated centre-back this year. Him and Muyet have been, obviously the results don't show, but he's been really impressive. And I think, going forward, whether it's with Port Melbourne or another NPL club, got a good opportunity. Very underestimated defender and does a lot of work, a lot of interceptions. We know Muyet's one of the leader interceptions also in this league. But Jankulowski, yes, he's an impressive player and someone who's really has done really well and come through for Port Melbourne.
And Habib knocks it on to Frangi. And he's Gust. El Halwi. He's got Kawaguchi to his right, but he goes through the middle to Theodorakopoulos. Long. Mells. It's a long ball by Mells to space. McCloskey chasing. Olawamaweye to beat. Doesn't. Kamara to Kawaguchi. Tripped. Free kick to Altona Magic.
Frangi lost his a little bit there. He's upset with that final pass when he was in a very good opportunity. Interesting, Frangi spent quite a bit of time in New South Wales NPL, and we said we're going to discuss this a bit earlier. Ross, fantastic win by Avondale over 3-1 over Apia, and Avondale in second position, NPL Victoria, Apia second positions, I should say, NPL New South Wales. And for me, it was the benchmark game. I have sometimes a few debates with some New South Wales NPL aficionados, and I always say Victoria, I think, is the better NPL. And I'm not saying Avondale didn't be proud, but it was a benchmark game.
Of course, we'll see a lot more of that action in the Australian Championship kicking off in October. Of course, the opening game, South Melbourne Hellas versus Sydney Olympic on the 10th of October, Friday the 10th of October, Friday night. Of course, Avondale is in Preston Lions' group as well as two other teams. It's a great cross into the box, headed on. Chance here, Gillingham off the crossbar. And Mells with a follow-up, but it's a free kick for Altona Magic and almost 1-1. Again, Willing Gillingham to save the day.
What an opportunity there. It was offside, but yeah, we mentioned the set piece, we mentioned the aerial. That's where it's going to come from for Port Melbourne if it is. And they'll just be a bit unlucky there. That was a crucial opportunity. You can see the body language of the Port Melbourne players. They know that. Unfortunately, an offside call, but really, yeah, Gillingham's added a little bit. And then I think it's the two pillars, Gillingham and Brown, causing a few problems for Altona Magic.
Yes, he's, of course, Laban. Nankolovsky, and it's another throw. El Hawley. Gust, and out. Vikurtsis. Mells. Long. Headed on by Brown. Olamawewe. Frangi to Habib. Goes around him. Doesn't. And Trzeszewski knows long. To Gust. To El Hawley. And Laban does go through the middle. Bounced off his elbow. Shouts for a handball, but it's natural play. And here's Kamara. Kawaguchi. Great little touch, and he's through. The chance to cross the ball in, and Frangi just easy. And that was easy, Anthony Frangi with a brace.
Anthony Frangi was frustrated early before, didn't get that final pass. Gets the opportunity now as the leading scorer for Altona Magic and puts that away. Fabrizio, we haven't heard much in this second half. He did have some creative opportunities, but when Port Melbourne are pushing players up front, you tend to lose your concentration or your shape, and Fabrizio gets in the position. He's very good at getting that final third and creating those opportunities. And Altona, important goal, maybe the goal that sees them off the relegation threats. And besides the relegation outcomes for NPL Victoria, you can see the Port Melbourne players quite gutted, disappointed. They put a lot of work in this game. It just didn't have a bit of luck a bit earlier on. And Aidan Brown also had a couple of opportunities, but it's about efficiency and making that. And Frankie has got the class, hasn't scored that many goals, but that was a great finish.
And he's actually off. Confirmation of the change. Anthony Frangi does leave the play in replace of Julian Rodriguez. Of course, Anthony Frangi does have a brace today. 2 goals to his name, up to 7 goals for the season, the 28-year-old. Julian Rodriguez now, the 20-year-old, comes on just to finish the game off. Kawaguchi. I think another player I want to highlight as well, Peter, today, Salu Kamara. He's been quietly going under the radar a little bit, but quite the career on him as well. Did play in the NPL SA for Metro Stars. Of course, that confirms national second-tier side. Did spend some time at Adelaide Croatia Raiders. He did spend some time in the Central Coast Academy before moving over to the US to play some college soccer. He's been slowly going under the radar here, just in that pivot role in the midfield. And I think he's been pretty much the main reason why Altona Magic haven't actually conceded a goal today, because he's been just sweeping up all those balls.
Yeah, he's playing the number 6 role, quite neat, keeps the shape, keeps the structure, has intercepted quite a few of the attacking forays of Port Melbourne. And really, Kamara, you can tell, he sort of dictates sort of that front. You can see right in front of the top 4 defenders. He does a lot of scanning too. He looks around, and that's a good player does a lot of that, where you see he's scanning left, right, looking in front of him, tracking George Miles right now. And as you mentioned, Ross, important player in the cog of Altona Magic.
I think it's important to really lock down George Mills if you've got any chance of beating a team with George Mills in it. If George Mills isn't there, then the team's not there, and I think he's done a really good job here, just man-marking him all game. His chance now, chasing, is Julian Rodriguez, the substitute. Muye goes back to Laban. It's a long ball by Laban. Headed on, and he's Gillingham. Kawaguchi. El Hawley into space. Vakurtsis. Brown. Laban. Back to Brown. Vakurtsis with a cross. Headed on. The second header's not there. Chasing Christian Rossi is William Gillingham.
Yeah, El Hawley making a few errors at the moment, just in terms of turnover. He's come through the Altona Magic system, and a young player. It's good to see younger players come through their NPL club. We always like to see more of that, but a little bit sloppy. McCloskey, disappointed with that header. Maybe a little bit more power, and, you know, it's been a bit of a disappointing day today for Port Melbourne. They've been in some positions. We mentioned the first half, Aidan Brown's 3 opportunities, and you've got to convert, especially at these crunch matches, and it just hasn't happened for Port Melbourne so far.
Indeed it hasn't. Of course, Mohamed El Hawley, born and raised in Altona North, so it's a club run through his veins. And that's a free kick now again for the Magic. And it looks like he is on the floor. Julian Rodriguez, the substitute. He's back up now. Ola Mawewe now to take the free kick. It's just a slotted ball to the head of Fabrizio. And he's Vakurtsis now going the other way. And they need one here. Cap the day off. Gust. It's Habib now. It's a great stop. He's down the line. Tries to back heel, and it goes straight out to Trzejewski.
Yeah, Trzejewski's moved from I would say, the central midfield more to help in the back line. They're still he's dropped back a little bit and trying to assist that back line from his midfield role. It's at the moment Altona still looking to maybe even look for the third. It's Kawaguchi's also pushing up, as we can see here. But Altona, they're trying to finish this game off. They have got the players. They've still got a bit of the attacking mindset. And you can see Port Melbourne a little bit disappointed. They know they had their opportunities, and the players know maybe they should have had one or two, Ross.
Yeah, I think they can go away with this game feeling a bit disappointed, not just for their, I guess, NPL Victoria campaign, but I think their whole season's been a bit of an unlucky season. Of course, any team with Liston Diaz in it performs well, and it's just been the injuries have just plagued Port Melbourne all season, and it's quite unfortunate as well as a side like Port Melbourne falling so low, as well as obviously Melbourne Knights as well. Of course, a staple of Victorian football, Melbourne Knights, former NSL side. Of course, playing next year in VPL 1. Yet to know who actually comes up from VPL 1 to the NPL Victoria as well. That will probably be decided today or next week. But it's looking like Kawaguchi with the header.
Yeah, I would say, everyone's got their perspective, everyone's got their opinion, whether 3 teams should go down. Should it be 2 like a couple of the previous seasons? We're getting 3 going down. Melbourne Victory have shown a lot. Port Melbourne, the last few seasons, as you mentioned, they were playing a good brand of football for 2-3 years there. Really attacking, and a lot of teams aspired to play the way they did. But this year's been very difficult, as you said. Diaz, the pivotal point, front man that's not available for a lot of these matches, only half the matches, has really been very difficult for Port Melbourne to counter, and it's seeing them and the Knights go down is a bit disappointing, but we're going to have some interesting teams come up. Melbourne City's up for it, Sunshine, let me rephrase that, Caroline Springs, Georgies, Bentley Greens, who have been a powerhouse in the NPL as well. The Western United still fighting for a position. Obviously there are other issues there in terms of the licence. But, it's going to be an interesting what happens in VPL 1. Now that we're pretty much no relegations decided.
And here's Habib now driving. He tosses it in and it goes through his legs and in. Bilal Habib tops off a great performance today. And he gets his goal, the Somali international. And that's 3-0 to the Magic.
Early on, Bilal Habib shows the intention, some audacity, some take-on, some one-on-one. And what a finish there. Just Ross really finished that well. Too much space there for the Port Melbourne defence. They just hanged off him a little bit. But the key here is that the interesting thing about Altona is they're a very attacking side. The goals may not show, and I mentioned this previously, but they do a lot of one-on-ones. And we saw Habib in the box, claimed a penalty earlier. Now he slid to the left, and you can see a great finish, and unfortunately, Port Melbourne, this could be the end for the NPL's stay. I'm sure they'll be back. Got some good players, up-and-coming players, but Habib settled the match.
Yes, and there's a confirmation of a change coming off for Port Melbourne is number 4, Riyad Mouye, coming on. It's number 8, Pete Vakrinos. It's actually senior debut, Pete Vakrinos. Coming on, so 3-0 down, obviously. Might as well give a go to some of the younger talent here. This guy has actually scored 3 goals in 8 games in the under-17s NPL 2. And it's Fabrizio. And Belil. Habib can go for another one. And he's gone around Johnny Vakurtzis. Cross into the box. Rodriguez. And into the back of the net. Julian Rodriguez. It's his first senior goal for Altona Magic. And that's 4.
Julian Rodriguez finally gets rewarded. Very good. Maybe there was a bit of a ricochet there, but it doesn't really matter. He's had some opportunities coming on from the bench. He's waited his turn. Obviously, there's Altona's stoked with a lot of attacking talent. Finally gets opportunity. You can see his face. He's really happy. Finally, an NPL goal sets him up for a new season. And really, Altona, early on, they probably weren't showing that they were 3-4-0. But Port Melbourne have really, the heads down, missed opportunities, coming more relaxed at the back, taking risks. And obviously with Altona, who actually, funny enough, Ross, almost attacking-wise, get a lot of the leading the NPL in balls in the box. Finally, a reward here for Rodriguez' hard work.
And who else but Bilal Habib to be involved in all 4 goals today. Of course, he did win that penalty to put him 1-0 up. He did score as well. And he did start that play that gave Frangi his second. And just then as well, selfless, hands the ball to Julian Rodriguez. And that's 4 here at Paisley Park. And I was just about to mention the fact that Dandenong City have gone 2-1 up against Melbourne Knights. Kenny Athiri with a double. And there's a double change coming on for Altona Magic. Coming off is Salu Kamara. And my man of the match, I don't know you, Peter, but Bilal Habib. And coming on is Dejan Bakrudonovsky and Owen Shepherd.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Owen Shepherd. Bakrudonovsky, a young product, gets his opportunity. But yes, Kamara and Habib, probably the Kamara understated performance, but the lockdown Port Melbourne's opportunity, especially as a number 6. And we mentioned George Mells and Laban in terms of the midfield, always dangerous. And Habib will vote for that at the end of, obviously, the match. But really, as you mentioned, Ross, involvement in all 4 goals. Took on players as well, created opportunities, and some stylish audacity early on in that first half as well. So probably, as you mentioned, close to man of the match. But, yeah, he's coming off. Now, had a bit of a limp. Hopefully he's all okay.
Yes, of course, if you're just tuning as well, he did attempt a very, very audacious overhead kick. Obviously, nothing came from it. But he has also been called up for international duty with Somalia. He will be playing against Guinea and Uganda for a chance to play at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and United States. Onwards from that, his substitute, Owen Shepherd, 23-year-old Owen Shepherd, was signed mid-season from Corayo. 11 assists, 7 goals over there. Was drafted first overall in the 2024 CPL U Sports Draft by Valor FC in Canada. Did also play collegiate soccer over at the University of Cape Breton. 23. And obviously Dejan Bakrudonovsky, of course. Before Magic, he did play at Bentley Greens and Moreland City, as well as many others. Is Gillingham to Mells. On by Mells to Brown. He's got to get around Gust and Brown. Vakurtzis with the cross into the arms of Rossi. And back the other way quickly. And here's the goal scorer, Rodriguez. He's playing with confidence. And he's got Kawaguchi out wide, and he does go to him. But it's under pressure a little bit. It's a great stop. And he's got the ball back. The chance to go outside. He's going round 2. Under pressure here at the back for the Sharks. They're playing with fire here for Melbourne. Vakurtzis. Straight to El Hawley. Backwards to Olamawewe and Kawaguchi. Bakrudonovsky. Gust. On the run forward by Stojevski. Will probably go himself, won't he? He won't. He'll go wide to Shepherd. And it's a strike from distance and over the bar.
Yeah, I think Fabrizio there being a little bit ambitious. But you can see there the Altona Magic players now very comfortable. So Jeski moving forward, Gus moving forward from defence, trying to get involved. And, yeah, it's becoming apparent that Altona now want to close out the game and maybe even score a couple more goals, which they haven't been, has been one of the lowest scoring teams this year today. 4-0. I don't think 4-0 represents the game in itself, Ross. I think Port Melbourne early on had pieces of maybe 20 minutes control and great chances, but you got to convert. You got to be efficient. You got to be able to take your opportunities, and unfortunately, Port Melbourne haven't done that, and it's a difficult situation for them.
Yes, and the fourth official has indicated a minimum of 2 minutes will be added on. So if they want any more, and Mel's goes along the floor, and there's a chance to make it 4-1, but it's offside. It's almost a consolation goal, but it is offside, and George Mel's with the ball drilled into the goalkeeper. But yes, for 2 minutes, the fourth official indicated 2 minutes minimum added on to the end of the game. So if they want another goal, they do have 2 minutes to do so here. But yes, 4-0 does probably not represent the game play, but they're just having fun with it now, the Magic players. Just playing with freedom. And here's a chance. Rodriguez through to Theodorakopoulos and Shepherd. And it's gone back out for another throw.
Yeah, good to see Theodorakopoulos. He's actually a very attack-minded player and has the ability to score goals, finally getting that position and denied on that occasion. But yeah, Altona now playing, as you mentioned, Ross, with freedom. The defenders, as I mentioned earlier, moving forward, and they want to see out the game last few minutes.
And there's a chance for Theodorakopoulos now. It does just go wide, but there's a chance to follow up. It's gone wide of the post. It's been refreshing to see as well, Christian Theodorakopoulos. So it did come on at half time, and they scored 3. So whether or not it was all on him, the attacking movements, he's got that dog in him. And here is Brown with a chance, and that's just gone wide into the car park.
Yeah, Theodorakopoulos about progressive passing and off-the-ball movement, but that's the end of the game, Ross. Just that was quite quick, actually. We're expecting a few more minutes. And, 4-0 for Altona Magic. The NPL relegation's been decided today, and, Melbourne Victory will probably be a bit disappointed. They've been playing well as well, and Port Melbourne,